President Biden was asked several questions about NATO tonight that Donald Trump couldn't possibly answer.
I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes.
Joining our discussion now, Timothy Snyder, professor of history at Yale University. He is the author of The Road to Unfreedom, Russia, Europe, America. Professor Snyder, so much discussion of Ukraine tonight. What did this press conference mean to Ukraine?
Well, for Ukraine, this is all about sustenance. Ukraine is in an existential war for itself, but it's also the country which is holding off war for the rest of us. And it's in this odd position that it's adjacent to the most powerful alliance and that its own resistance has strengthened this most powerful alliance, leading Sweden and Finland to join. What Ukraine has gotten is assurances of more weapon systems. What it could still get, though, I think, is a much more conceptual affirmation that NATO leaders want Ukraine to win.
The president was asked tonight if Donald Trump were elected, would Ukraine be abandoned, was essentially the question, to which the president said, yes, that's exactly what would happen.
I think it touches on a very fundamental issue and a very fundamental difference between the incumbent and the rival, Mr. Trump. Mr. Biden begins from some notion of American interests, and he's made it very clear that he understands how American interests are affected by Ukraine. He did that, as you said, quite complexly in that press conference. Mr. Trump starts from zero, not just zero knowledge, but zero concern, I think, about American interests. And what he does and what he thinks and what he ends up saying tends to be informed by America's adversaries. You can see that, in the juxtaposition of the NATO summit with Mr. Trump consulting with Prime Minister Orban of Hungary after Orban comes back from Moscow and China. Trump then ends up repeating Russian and Chinese talking points because there's a vacuum there by which essentially Russian and Chinese attitudes, they come and fill that vacuum.
Going forward, given that Zelensky was involved, not actually a member of NATO, but so much the important focus of NATO, over the next few months during this presidential campaign, people in Ukraine obviously have to be deeply concerned about their future.
Look, I've been in Europe for almost a month now, and I haven't spoken to a single European who is not deeply concerned about this election. People, colleagues, friends tend to be very polite, but there's not a single one who is not deeply concerned. And that's even before you get to the Ukrainians. Yes, the Ukrainians are very, very, very worried. In the last 4 years, they've had an intense course in our politics. And they understand that they're facing not just the possibility of a change of policy, which would be bad enough, but also the possibility of a change in fundamental worldview. In Mr. Trump's worldview, it's everybody for themselves. It's every oligarch for themselves. Law doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of who happens to have the power or who he prefers as the better gangster. And that's a very different world in which the one Mr. Biden was just affirming, in which we know our allies, we know what the rules are, we further our friendships, and we try to support a country which is in the absolutely central and critical position in the world right now, which is Ukraine.
American voters have Ukrainian lives in their hands this time. Professor Timothy Snyder, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.